What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Chuds BBQ. My name is Bradley Robinson, and today I'm going to show you how I made these. Beautiful, delicious, crispy, cheesy, amazing, scratch-made smash burger tacos. That's right, folks. I know you've seen these all over the internet, but today we're going to make them completely from scratch and see if they're any good. Coming up! This is some meat. Pat it dry. And what I got here is a beautiful chuck roast. Got this from my friends over at Porter Road. Actually, I got two of them. And I'm gonna first take off this string because that would not make for a good burger. And today we're tackling that viral smash burger taco situation that I keep seeing all over the internet. And to be honest, I've never tried it before because it seems kind of gimmicky. But at the same time, I never want to knock something until I try it. And we're also in the middle of the football food series where basically I try all the weird things I've never tried before, like pig shots and shotgun shells and all that kind of stuff. So if I was ever gonna make this thing, now it seems like a good time to do it. And also, I'm gonna try a lot harder than most people do, you know? I'm grinding my own meat, making my own beef fat flour tortillas, we're gonna make our own pickles, and really give this thing a fair shot at being super tasty and see if it's worth making or not. So to start out, I'm just gonna go ahead and cube this up so it fits in the meat grinder a little bit easier. If there's any weird pockets of silver skin or something, I can take those out at this point. And we're making burgers. You know, you could use brisket, you could use chuck, you could use pretty much whatever you want. But I like chuck for making burgers. Good flavor, decent fat content, but we'll probably add a little bit more when we grind this up to get a nice, juicy little smash burger situation. And just like that, all cubed up, I pulled some fat out of the freezer as well. This is just from brisket trim. And now I'm gonna pop this back in the freezer to get nice and cold so we get a really clean grind. And while we wait for that meat to get nice and cold, let's go ahead and bust out some flour tortillas. Oops. Starting by going into our food processor with some bread flour, some kosher salt, and some baking powder. And get that mixed up. Next up, we're going in with some Wagyu beef tallow. This stuff is perfect for making beef fat flour tortillas. Did my food processor just break? That's not good. All right, let's try this. Yeah. Now we're gonna mix this up until it's all evenly dispersed and we got a nice kind of crumbly sand texture. That's what I hate about all these safety features on these things, you know? I'm not gonna cut my hand off in a food processor, and the little part that pushes down this thing just snapped off, so I gotta use a little thermometer to just... And now, last but not least, we're going in with some water. And now we're just gonna let this knead for a couple of minutes. Boop. Beautiful stuff, this tortilla dough. Very supple, very smooth. And if yours is too sticky, you might want to get a little extra flour, but this one is feeling just right. There's a lot of fat in there. Give this a few more kneads just for good measure. And now we're gonna portion out some dough balls. Gonna make some pretty average sized tortillas today, which for me is usually about 50 grams. Let's see how close I got. 62, not bad. Nailed it. And now simply enough, take your little dough ball and just kind of tuck and fold all the seams to the underside until we get a nice smooth ball. Look at something like that. And then put it on the table, seam side down, and just give it a nice little tuck and roll here until you got a nice smooth little dough ball. Beautiful little dough balls here. I'm gonna pop them into this tortilla warmer because we gotta let these rest for a good long time. And that's because we use bread flour, which is pretty high protein, and there is a lot of gluten in these that we need to let relax. Otherwise, when we try and press these out, they'll kind of spring back and won't hold their shape. I'd say at least 30 minutes, but honestly, the longer, the better. Now that our meat is sufficiently chilled, through the grinder we go, going through the small die today, and we're only gonna go through once. Beautiful. Beautiful grind on that, nice and pebbly, which means it was a very clean grind. And I probably did not need to make this much ground beef. That was a lot more than I was expecting it to be. Now I'm gonna go through and give this a light mixing, and that's just to make sure the fat is evenly dispersed, as well as get a little bit of protein extraction going, because right now this is super crumbly, and if we try to make a burger out of it, it might fall apart. But we're not gonna mix it like I would a sausage or a meatloaf or something. Just enough until it's a little bit more tacky. Now we're gonna go through and weigh these out. Going for some 1/4 pounders today. Just like that. And just like that, we've got ourselves Meatball Mountain. And honestly, these are looking pretty fatty. So probably should have weighed out that meat and fat, but honestly, I'm not mad about it. You know, extra fat is extra flavor. And also, I think a smash burger should be a little on the fatty side. Nice and juicy. Oh, the mountain's about to fall. No! Why didn't I stop that? It's okay. I had one extra anyway. All right, I'm gonna pop these into the fridge for a little bit until we're ready to use them. Next up, let's go ahead and bust out some quick pickles. Starting with an English cucumber and a mandolin. Ooh, those are going everywhere. And into a jar we go. Made these nice and thin, but you can make them as thick or as thin as you like. Beautiful. We're also gonna go into this jar with some garlic, some pickling spice. You can check out some of my burger videos where I make my own pickling spice, but this works just as well. Maybe a tablespoon of that. And I'm also gonna go in with some dill weed. Usually I like to use fresh dill, but the store was fresh out, so this is all I got, and kind of bummed about it. I don't really like how this dill looks when it sticks to the pickles, but it'll do just fine. Set this aside, and now we're gonna make our brine. So into this pot, I'm gonna go in with 1 cup of water, as well as 3 cups of vinegar, and let that come up to a boil. Whew, stinky. Now we're gonna go in with some sugar and some kosher salt. I think I did those backwards. And just let this cook for a minute or two until that is all nicely dissolved. And now, in we go. Oh God, even with this little funnel, I still always make a mess. Ooh, smells good right off the bat though. That pickling spice, gotta love it. And there we go, lid goes on, let this cool down, pop it in the fridge, and once it's cold, our pickles will be ready. Some beautiful shred lead. All right, we got all our veg prepped. We got our onions rehydrating over there. Great little tip for burger making. So now what we're gonna do is get these tortillas made. And to do that, I've got the old Chud press here fired up. And we're gonna go on with some of these beautiful dough balls that have rested down nicely. And just give it a press. Ooh, press that one a little too hard. Very thin. Looking good though. And once nicely cooked, into the tortilla warmer it goes. To warm. No taco squeal today. Not gonna lie, I think I made these too big. I probably should have made like 30 or 40 gram dough balls, but all that means is that the meat won't really be the same size as the tortilla, which is fine. I have a little crust on the outside. I have a little ring of extra tortilla. I also think I may have kneaded these a little bit too much because we're not getting as much puff as we usually do. But you know, every batch of tortillas is different, even though I do everything the same. All right, y'all, we've got everything we need to make these taco burgers or whatever you want to call this thing. Pile of meat, we've got our tomatoes, our lettuce. These are the onions that I rehydrated. I strained all the water out and that's what we're left with. Love this trick for burgers. Same thing they do at all the fast food restaurants. It really gives it that nostalgic fast food burger taste. Pickles came out nice, fully cooled down, although like I said, they're kind of covered in dill because it's just much more fine. Don't love the look. Actually, let's see how these came out. That's a good pickle, very tangy. Gotta say, not my best batch of pickles because of that dill. Also that pickling spice tastes really good, but there's a bunch of chunks of bay leaves and stuff in there that really stick to these, and I don't wanna rinse them off, so maybe I will stick with the homemade pickling spice from now on. But at long last, let's get one of these smash burger tacos knocked out. Beautiful looking tortillas, nice and floppy, nice and fluffy. They feel so much better after sitting in this guy for a little bit and steaming. But let's go ahead and do this. All right, Chud press is rocking right on 640 degrees. Seems plenty hot to me, so take one of our balls here, do that, pop our tortilla on top, and we smash. I'm gonna let it sit there for a little bit just to build up that crust. That is the only weird part about this recipe that kind of throws me off, is that you're only gonna get a crust on one side because of that tortilla. So we really wanna make sure we get a good solid crust on there and make sure that burger is cooked through. Otherwise we'll end up with like raw meat on the inside of tortilla, which we do not want. Whoa, that looks cool. Looks like there was perfect coverage on that, tortilla-wise. Hope the edges of that tortilla aren't burning, but let's see how this looks. Not too shabby. Not the best crust in the world. Probably go a little longer next time. But while we're here, go ahead and season this bad boy with a little bit of salt. Actually, quite a bit of salt because we're only seasoning one side of this thing. And throw on a slice of American cheese. Beautiful. Pull this off so we don't burn that tortilla. Let that residual heat melt that cheese. This thing is ripping hot. Ooh, that's a good one. That looks really nice. Perfect tortilla to meat size on that one. That's cool. I'd eat that. In fact, I think I will. Cheese it up. Toast the underside of the tortilla for just a wee bit, and then off it comes. Love it. Whoa, got a little tortilla puff when I flip that. I think I'm gonna go double cheese on these. Why not? Beautiful. And there it is, folks, the taco smash burger. That thing is pretty weird. Looks pretty good though. Nice crust, good cheese meltage, but we gotta finish dressing up this thing. Starting out with a couple of pickles. Boop, beautiful. Next up, we'll go down with some of our shred lead. Nice, looking pretty. Followed by some of our Roma tomatoes. Can't forget the sauce. I'm just gonna do a little smattering over the top here. Beautiful. And to top it all off, some of our rehydrated onions. Everything a cheeseburger needs in taco form. And there it is. Kind of cool. Looks like a lot. I honestly didn't expect this to be so big, but once they fold it up into taco form, there you go, the smash burger taco. You know, all dressed up, they look pretty good. I got one other one here that I didn't dress up, and I just want to see what the underside looks like. Yeah, not the most appealing thing in the world, but definitely fully cooked, so that's good. But there's only one way to find out if it really is as tasty as it looks. Yoink. Oh, that is a fully loaded taco right there. All right. Okay. That's pretty solid. That's really good. Nice and cheesy. It's got all the flavors you need. It's interesting. It's got all the flavors of a normal cheeseburger, but it's not the same form factor, which makes it just different. You know, the tortilla, I don't know, without the squishy bun, it's just not a burger. Still good though. I'm confused, you know? It's very similar to a burger, the same flavor profile, obviously, but it's not the same experience as eating a burger. It's very similar to a taco, but not the same experience as eating a taco. And in neither case is it better. It's good. Obviously, there's nothing wrong with this, but I think I'd take a regular cheeseburger or a regular taco any day of the week over this thing. It is fun to make, especially on the Chud press, makes it real easy. And I think it's just kind of gimmicky, but it's fun, it's good. Will I do it again? Probably not, maybe. I don't know, we'll find out. It's a solid bite of food. Nothing wrong with it at all. It's just kind of dumb. That being said, I'm still eating it. So all in all, is this worth making? I'd say yeah. You know, it's really easy to make. It comes together super quickly, especially if you don't, you know, grind your own meat, make your own tortillas. If you just use store-bought stuff, this comes together super quick for an easy lunch or dinner or something. I'd say it's worth giving a shot, but from an eating perspective and just a food in general perspective, I would rather have a taco or a burger, but definitely not this. Something about the texture is just not really working for me. But I'd love to hear your thoughts down below. If you've tried this for yourself, let me know what you think. But before I sign off, I think it's time for the official taste test. We'll go for the undressed one because, you know, onions and whatnot. All right, y'all, that is it. That is how to make the viral sensation smash burger taco. I highly recommend giving this one a try. It comes together real quick and easy, or at least it could. It's a fun process, and I think it's worth trying at least once in your life. But all that being said, if you enjoyed this video, let me know by hitting that subscribe button. Let YouTube know by dropping a like on this video. If you do give this recipe a try for yourself, be sure to tag me on Instagram at Chuds BBQ. I love to see what y'all are cooking. Big shout out to all the Patreon members. Thank you for supporting Team Chud and allowing me to keep making all these videos. And until the next time I see you, please go cook something outside. Peace.